Hi, welcome to getting access for Simulink and the robotic playground so that your team can meet the engineering notebook rubric about integrating Simulink and learning about running a simulation that's now in the engineering rubric. I'm Gwen Moore from Rocky Mountain Best, and this is Charles Logston.
I am Charles Loxton from Best of Texas Robotics and Coco Best.
And we're going to give you quick a quick guide to getting in your software license and how to quickly access the robotic playground in Simulink and MATLAB so that your team can learn how to manipulate a robot model and make some changes so that your team can earn up to the 10 points in the engineering notebook rubric for using Simulink.
Right. And we're focusing on robot simulation, specifically, not necessarily programming hardware on a robot. So we're going to be working just within the browser on MATLAB online, not installing anything to the computer. And this is how we're going to gain access to it, is starting here in the team workflow. So I've logged into the BEST registry, registry.bestrobotics.org, and I've navigated to my team workflow. And then down here, part way down the screen, says Team Software Licenses, MathWorks MATLAB. And this isn't an active link, but I can copy and paste this link over into a new tab. So Control C to copy, and then I'm going to paste it up here into a new tab on my Chrome browser. And I'm using a Microsoft computer device, but this should work on Chromebooks and other devices. It's not specific to Microsoft, just within a Chrome browser is what I'm using. And assuming I don't have a license yet, I would go to this and scroll a little way down the page and it says complementary license and request software. And then each coach for each team, there's a statement up here that describes this. Each coach for, or one coach from each team would be responsible for going and requesting the software and then distributing that team license to all the students and mentors and anyone that's going to be actively involved in working on the Best Robotics project for the Best Robotics season only. So this is only fair game to use for free for any user working actively on that robot competition project. And then that the coach, a single coach on the team would click software request form. It goes through just a basic form of you have to create an account within MATLAB. So the coach will be responsible for creating that account. And then you could expect within 3 days after completing that form that you get an email, 3 business days, that gives you directions on how to go and link this to your MATLAB's account. And I'm going to show you that mine is already linked to kind of walk through that as a individual user, not necessarily a coach's view. But as far as MATLAB accounts go, anyone can go create a free MATLAB account, but you will not get free full access to the software like you will with this complimentary license. So now I'm going to assume that I have my license that's been provided by my coach and try to walk from here on out as if I was a student logging in to access the resources. And my end goal is to have a robot driving around on the screen as a simulation within MATLAB Simulink. So now I'm going to sign in. I'm on mathworks.com.
And Charles, when they're signing in, is it what type of email address should the students use? Teachers need to use their best ink email that's given to them that they use to log into the registry. But what would be the best recommendation for students to use?
Right. So as far as I know, it's not restricted to anything specific. I would recommend using your education account. So if you have an email address assigned to you or a Google email address assigned to you by your educational institution, then I would use that. But if needed, you can use a personal email or even have an adult, a parent, create an account for you under their account to be able to give you access if you, for some reason, don't have an email address or you're restricted on using an email address. You could have a parent or mentor allow you to get access that way.
Excellent. And I like the idea of using the education email that students use over time so that they don't have a um, problem remembering their username and password because they're the same. And the teacher or
Right.
mentor can say, aren't you supposed to log on using your, one you use for school? And that should help them remember. Great tip.
Right. So now I've logged in up in the top right. Again, just mathworks.com is what I'm on for logging into a MathWorks account. And I clicked MATLAB up in the top right. So I'm logged in. My initials are up in the top right of the screen. It says CL, and it says like I could sign out right now as opposed to it would say sign in if I hadn't been signed in yet. And I wouldn't have my initials up here if I wasn't signed in. So I'm confirmed that I'm signed in. Then I click MATLAB if I wanted to go directly into the software. But to show you what the licensing linking looks like, I'm going to click my user account name up there in the top right, click link license, and then here you would put in that activation key that comes from your coach for your team. So your team all shares a common license number and activation key. I would copy and paste the activation link in there. And then
What would you
on
recommend, Charles? How would you recommend teachers share that email?
You can either just forward the email that comes from MathWorks directly to the students, or you could simplify it a little further and just tell them verbally what the directions are or go through it with them. And then they mainly just need to know that they're creating a MATLAB account for their individual use, and then that they need the activation key to activate the license before they'll be able to get to the online software. And additionally, you get the option to download the program and install it on your computer to get the full-blown MATLAB software, but it's not required. You could just work within the browser with a little bit of limited use or limited functionality on the browser version.
And the limited use works great for meeting the requirement for the rubric and for
Yes.
most teams' needs. I love it.
All of the simulation that we're going to be doing for simulating a robot driving around on a simulation field will all be able to work in the browser. If you were going to try to push hardware to your specific robot, like a Vex robot, then you would need to download the software to a Microsoft device in order to get that capability. But I've
Excellent.
already activated my license, so I'm just going to go to my licenses to be able to look at what I have. And you can see that my license is already linked. So I had a license in this account last year and this year. This last one had expired. So I had to request a new one as a coach and then put this in here or as a mentor. And then I had to put the license to link it in here. And so now I
So,
have access to the newest versions of MATLAB. And then also right now I'm focusing on just going into the online version.
so this would be a great way for a student or a teacher to check to make sure that they completed the linking process doing
Yes.
this. Excellent.
And then when I click on MATLAB up in the top right, because I already have it linked and I'm logged into the mathworks.com website with my account, it will bring up this menu. It's kind of got learning documentation off to the side. There's some online training for general access. If you want to do MATLAB online or on-ramp, you can go through these and they will print a certificate out of completion at the end if that's something that you want to do or share in your notebook that you're going through and building up your skills within this software as part of your design process for your robot for the competition season. And then I'm going to go to Open MATLAB Online. You could install it on your device, on your local device, but it would have to be a Microsoft Windows computer in order to be able to get that to work on your device. So I'm going to work with just in the browser, and I'm using a Chrome browser. And so now it's opening up the software within my browser. I didn't install anything. And then I just have a blank command window. See, I had things hidden down here. So all I have is a blank screen. There's nothing really to click through. I'm going to try to go and get an add-on package. So in the top right, it says add-ons and explore add-ons. I'm going to search for robotics playground. And then you'll see that there's a few options. I'm going to go with this robotics playground version 23.1.1. And this is all that I need to be able to get a simulation going. And I've already installed it over here in the right. You would have to install it if you hadn't installed it, but because I've already installed it, I can just click open folder.
So when they first add it, both of those buttons don't appear. There is an add button that they would need to click, correct?
Okay. Yes.
And then this window shows.
Right.
Excellent. So, and you've clicked the open folder.
Yes, I went ahead and clicked it. It turned a different color blue on my screen, so I know I've clicked it. It's just loading. So right now it's opening up that folder of resources. And then this is a Simulink toolbox. It's within the Simulink virtual environments that we're going to be able to basically pull up an already existing field with a robot model. And it's just going to be a two-wheeled robot that I can drive around to show a simulation. And then I'm going to go ahead and minimize this screen. Notice that in the bottom right-hand corner, it's kind of small, but very small in the bottom right. There's this little tab section, and it has a 1 right now, showing that I have a minimized window. Because I'm working within my browser, I can have additional windows within that browser, but it doesn't behave the same as having windows on your device. So to access those, I can click down here in that bottom right where it says 1, and then I can look at the different windows. I just have one window right now that's open. If I wanted to get them all back restored, I could click restore, and then they'll all be available. It's possible that you could be accessing a window that's back behind an existing window, so it's kind of hidden. So you might need to shrink down things to be able to look at the windows that you're wanting. There's a little expand and collapse button up here that looks like a triangle, so it's an up arrow, and I could minimize that or expand it. So it's collapse and expand. And then if I just wanted to get this entire tab off of my screen, I could click minimize without closing it out fully. Additionally, off to the left, there's this looks like a three, like a pyramid of cubes icon. And when I put my mouse over that, my cursor over it, it says add-ons. I can click on add-ons and be able to see any add-ons that I have installed already. And I could, since I've already installed it, I could type in playground there, robotics playground, and it says that it's already installed. There's a little check mark there. And I could click on this to get it open and start it going also. Looks like it's taking a while. There's no notification that it's still loading. I'm gonna go ahead and click on over here in the add-ons on the left, Robotics Playground. And the folder should already be opening, but I'm gonna go ahead and click View Getting Started Guide while I'm waiting for it to open. So that opened much quicker.
So there are different ways that you can go in and get this opened after you've started, after you've added the add-on to your account.
Yes.
And that is one neat way. You can go using the left sidebar. You go to the add-on place to open the folder, a variety of different ways. It makes it so that you can do it your way, which is a
Right.
good way to do it.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and open up this Robotics Playground example that they have a screenshot here in this Getting Started guide. Scroll down a little ways and click Open Robotics Playground app. That's going to bring up a window that looks like this, and I can click on Obstacle Environment to go ahead and open up the example they have set up. So a single click on that opened up this window, and then I'm going to click Obstacle Environment to start with the very first Getting Started example.
And how will they know that they've clicked on that, Charles? Does it
Uh,
change to a,
when
a
I
blue color again?
After I've clicked on it and moved my mouse out of the way, I can see that it's blue. There's a little blue perimeter, and it stayed blue after I'd clicked it.
And sometimes it does take a little bit for it to load.
Oh, it doesn't turn blue anymore. So once I clicked off of it, I clicked down here to check on my windows to make sure I didn't have any windows hidden behind things. and the blue did go away. And I assume that it is loading. There, it finally popped up. So I would say that took, what, about 45 seconds or so for it to open.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
So I don't think it's necessary to keep clicking it over and over. You can either do a single click or a double click, and then it should open up. So now I'm kind of done with this playground app for now. I'm going to minimize it. Now you can see there's a little bubble with two down here, so my windows are minimized. And I'm going to maximize this one. This is off to the side right now. I'm going to press the space bar, and it should zoom fit. And then these individual blocks here are all things that you can get from the library browser up in the top left, but it's already set up for me. So I'm just going to run this simulation and see what it is that I have here that's already pre-set up for me. I can hit run up in the up in the top middle. I'm in the simulation tab by default and click run, which is the simulation. This is going to open up another window. So hopefully I could expect to see three windows up eventually. Because I don't want my windows to be hidden behind other windows, you can try to reposition this window. It looks like my robot's already driving around. Started the simulation. I need to hit restore because I had maximized it. And then I'm going to go ahead and hide these icons off to the right are all sensors. I'm going to focus on just using these tools off to the left.
And with the layered format, it would be really easy for a team to make a screenshot of what the robot has been doing, as well as the changes that you've made to the uh, speed dials on the motors, wouldn't it?
Right. So these little dials over here are user input. And so if I made both wheels go backwards, I could expect to see my robot drive backwards. So the positive numbers are the forward direction for these motors, the way they have it set up and programmed. If I take the dial gauge and make both the left wheel and the right wheel go full positive direction, you can see my robot driving straight and it runs into the obstacles. If I made them go the opposite direction, so the left wheel's full reverse direction, the right wheel's full positive direction, the forward direction. So right now it's crashed into the wall, but the robot will be spinning around. So the motors are driving in opposite directions. If you're curious about the layout over here, you can double click any of the motors or any of the blocks, and it will bring up a description of what the block is.
Excellent.
This one over
So
here is a
by
knob, and you can double click that to see what the maximum and minimum are that you could put as an input for this, the way they have it configured. And then you'll notice that this little constant block here is updating as I change those numbers by pulling the gauge. I had to start the simulation before I was able to move these gauges around. Before that, it was just a block for setting up the programming. But once I pressed play, it started the simulation. It compiled that program and started running it over here in this obstacle environment dashboard and gives me these views automatically.
excellent. So taking a series of screenshots before, during, and after, and saving them, and then using the knowledge that you just talked about by double clicking on like the
The blocks here.
user input devices, the knobs there, to get a little bit more additional information can really help the students make a great description that they can put into their engineering notebook, which
Right.
is really good. And if teams wanted to go a little bit further, um, there is an opportunity that BEST has with Simulink, isn't there, Charles? Can you share what the extended use of Simulink could be?
Yes, there's a Simulink design award that you can work towards, and you have to post a video to a YouTube. be directions or information for that specific to each year's game rules that you can look through the game rules to find the information for that design award. But annually at each regional championship, or sometimes called the state championships, they award a first place award for each region.
Very cool. And so if your team really wants to get into doing Simulink, there's that opportunity for you to learn more. But this basic use of Simulink can help your team earn up to that 10 points in the engineering notebook by how clear they write their descriptions and what they've learned about motors. And so we're looking forward to seeing how teams use Simulink and share their experiences with it. Thank you, Charles, for helping us learn about how to use Simulink to meet that engineering notebook rubric piece.